Okay, I think we're all set. Awesome. So thank you for chatting with me today, Buffy. And so it's been a little over a year since we first started this health journey together. We've known each other obviously a long time before that, but tell me what was the biggest problem that you were facing before you said, okay, it's time to make some changes and do something different with my health.
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing for me was I didn't feel like myself. My first I have two little children. My first had my daughter in 2020, and things just kind of outside of 2020 being 2020, things went quote unquote back to normal. I felt okay, and I didn't really worry too much about my nutrition or anything, and fine, right? But then I went and we had our second child. We had a son in 2021, and it was really hard for me to get back after that. And I don't just mean like being skinny or anything like that, but just getting back into what I would consider a healthy lifestyle. I would say my husband and I are fairly healthy, but I was feeling, very sluggish. I had gained a lot of baby weight, and it didn't come off as easy with the second child. And it was really hard for me not to feel like me anymore. And that felt like I kind of lost my identity, not because of my children, but because of the changes that happened because of my children and because I wasn't really following what was most important for my body in addition to keeping my family healthy. So that was the biggest thing that was hardest for me and kind of why I came your way.
How do you think that was impacting your life?
Yeah, I mean, energy was gone. I really was kind of approaching burnout, I will say that. Two little kids and a full-time job. It was all kind of stacking up. And as as you know, as being a mom, you're kind of like you put yourself last, and that can only really sustain for so long. So I think the biggest impact was I knew that at some point, even if I was carrying my family up, I was going to burn out, which definitely wasn't going to help my family. And I definitely was not as it fe I wasn't as active with my kids, right? And granted, they were both pretty small, but it's like you think about all the things that you can do with your children and just being sluggish, not feeling like yourself, not really fitting into kind of a healthy routine was really lagging on that. So, and my husband has even noticed it, and was I think a couple red flags, that he was concerned about, both, just health in general and where I was putting myself last in terms of where that goes. So,
Well, it happens, especially when you have two very small children. So you're not alone.
yes, yes, exactly. So I think we've all been there, done that, right?
Yeah.
Or are in the process.
Is there anything specific either about our program or you and I working together that you felt like really helped you along the way or helped you to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a couple different things. So obviously, uh, for somebody going into something that they really haven't had to worry about before, which was kind of my case, I I've been blessed with the fact that before this, I was like, well, I can just eat anything and that's fine. And even though I tried to be healthy, I didn't have to struggle with it. Right. And now suddenly it was like, oh my gosh, now I need to worry about this and I need to start putting myself as a priority. And that seemed very overwhelming for me. So, the nice thing was being able to come to a program where there's a person leading it and someone that I can call or text or whatnot, and also just having all the other resources that were available through Optavia. It was just really nice to be able to access those at any point, whether it be the social media component, the book that was available, and then obviously the way it's set up, it's kind of tried and true. I didn't have to feel like, okay, now I'm somehow counting macros or whatever, a couple of these other systems I know that I've seen have done, because I had somebody to walk me through it, and I also had this program that was very well laid out. So change is hard for me, especially, and so having kind of something laid out for my personality just made it that much easier to make a change.
And you did this mostly while you were nursing. So can
Yes.
you summarize kind of what your results were, both in terms of scale, but then also maybe some things that you've noticed otherwise?
Yeah, so I kind of started it, I would say, when I was going back to work and still nursing. And yeah, I would say, my results scale wise, I lost total of 20 pounds throughout the whole journey. And that's great, but I think the other thing was just the fact that all of those things stacking on top of each other were just that much easier to take on. So because I actually had a healthy body, and was, able to be, getting the nutrition I needed, doing all those things. I had more energy to keep up with, and now going back to an 8 hour day plus two littles at home, and kind of taking on too just the changes that ebb and flow, obviously, when you are nursing. So I think I was a little concerned at first about how that was going to go with nursing. Obviously, you can imagine, as you know, it's one of those things where you're like, am I going to have enough nutrition to be able to do this? And I think the way it was set up and your guidance through that made it very easy to kind of walk through my second, what I would call kind of my second half of nursing, and then ending my nursing journey to then continue the nutrition and kind of the lifestyle, if you will, into my day-to-day routine, just as someone who wasn't nursing, but just a regular mom. So,
Yeah. So it's been about a year since you reached your goal. How do you feel
yes.
now about your ability to keep the weight off, but more importantly, keep the habits that you built, and keep this as just part of your overall lifestyle?
Yeah, it's actually been surprisingly, I don't want to say this, but better than I had expected. I've my weight ebbs and flows a little bit, a couple pounds here and there, but I've been able to keep the weight off for the most part, and within 2 to 3 pounds. And I think the biggest thing has been, because that transition was so gradual, right? It was making it into a journey that is sustainable. That made it so much easier to then, once I was, technically done with the journey, it was just easy to implement those in my day-to-day life. So other thing too, I think, has been my family has been along for this journey, right? So my kids and my husband and I, again, like I said, we weren't necessarily unhealthy, but it just makes it so much easier for me to, okay, have we gotten all of our vegetables today, right? And when we're making meals and whatnot, you can involve the kids with, okay, we're adding all of these healthy pieces that I'm really hoping that they carry into their life as well. So it's been really easy to kind of implement what was at one point a program into what is now just, this is our routine, and this is part of our lifestyle. And it's, because of that guidance along that part, it has helped to transition it really easily. So
So I know that you've always been really an athlete and you've always been really active. Where are you with movement at this point, and how do you feel about working that back into your routine?
yes. Yeah, great question. So, yeah, I had my first child, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to get back into running. I used to be a pretty avid runner. And my husband runs as well and lifts weights. So I was like, I'm going to get back into it. We're just going to be the healthiest family ever. And then, momhood, right? So, I remember having Charlie, and we got through like almost a year of her life. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start getting back into this. And then we got pregnant with Hayden, and while I was fairly active during that, it wasn't like I was running. It was just hard for me. And now, I finally, now I'm starting to move probably the most I have. So my youngest is just turned 2. And so it's been hard. You're a mom, and they come first, right? So you prioritize your movement last, but that's been the great part of this program is, I was still able to kind of get the health factor in there, even though I may not have been able to push the time that I needed to get all the exercise in that I would normally like to do.
Yes.
So, and at work, as you can imagine, I try to get up and move. If I can get some movement in during the day, I try to do that. But the long-term goal, and it's hopefully, it seems like it's a lot closer now, is getting back into running. So I'm hoping in the next 6 months I'll be able to start doing that again, and that's a huge goal for me. And I think it'll be a huge accomplishment when I get to that point. Plus, I feel like my body is ready to get back into that because of this program. So that's been kind of the best part about this is I don't feel like I'm on the bottom of a mountain, in terms of getting back into running, but not necessarily being the, weight I need to really get back into it easily. So,
Yeah. So what would you say to someone who's considering giving it a try or making a change? What would you say to them at this point?
um, I would say walk over the overwhelming part that may be holding you back, because this is a much different journey than maybe something that you either um, think it will be, or that maybe you've gone through before. So, that was, I think, the biggest hurdle for me into talking to you about this. Before I started the program, was I let the overwhelmingness of a change kind of hold me back. And once I got into it, it was like, I don't even know why I was overwhelmed or scared about this, because again, you guys provided all of the resources that were needed. You were there, you were a text or a call away. And that just cut out all of that, quote unquote, scary part. And I think the other part is just the results, right? It works. So that's the other thing, is I don't think I've ever been able to say that about anything else in terms of how solid I feel about that, but it works. It worked for me, and it was, I'm just that much more confident because of it. So if that's what's holding you back, is being overwhelmed, don't be, because everything that's there that's needed to get over that is available. So
Awesome. Anything else you want to add?
um it's been great. I am just, I don't want to necessarily attribute my inner joy to something like this, but it's amazing how much better you feel when you are healthy. And that is something that I can say over and over again about where this has helped me to get to, right? So I guess that would just be my concluding line, is just, it's really helped me to kind of be at peace with where I'm at and where my priorities are with my family. And so it's amazing how just being um, healthy can change so many other aspects of your life.
Well, and as women, it takes that thing off your mind, because it takes one thing that we're always like, we don't want to be in that, oh, I feel bad about what I'm eating, or I feel like I should be doing this or should be doing that. If you can take that out of your brain, there's plenty of other things that we worry about throughout the day. So if that's one less, it definitely helps.
100%. Yes. Yes. It is
So
just what, the list of 100 things. If I can take even 2 items off that, I will take it. So
yes.
very much so.
Awesome. Well, thank you for chatting with me
Yeah.
today. And let's see if I can figure out how to stop that now.